It was Christmas morning, 1996. In a quiet neighborhood in Boulder, Colorado, 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey was found dead inside her own home. But this was no ordinary crime. This was the beginning of one of America's most haunting, most controversial, and most mysterious murder cases in modern history. JonBenét was a little girl who seemed to have it all: beauty, charm, and a radiant presence that captivated everyone she met. She was a child beauty queen, dressed in sparkling gowns, wearing tiaras that gleamed under stage lights. Crowds adored her smile, cameras loved her. And to her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, she was their pride and joy. From the outside, the Ramsey family represented the perfect American dream. John Ramsey was a successful businessman, the president of Access Graphics, a thriving computer company that had just hit its first billion-dollar milestone. Patsy was a former Miss West Virginia, graceful, charismatic, and deeply involved in her daughter's pageants. Their 2 children, Burke, aged 9, and JonBenét, lived in a large, elegant home filled with Christmas decorations, laughter, and the comfortable quiet of privilege. But sometimes the picture-perfect life hides the deepest cracks. And on that winter morning, everything would fall apart. At 5:52 a.m. on December 26, 1996, Boulder police received a 911 call. The voice on the other end belonged to Patsy Ramsey, frantic, terrified, almost incoherent. Her words were broken by sobs. "We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please. Our daughter is gone." Officers rushed to the scene, a massive 3-story home in one of Boulder's wealthiest neighborhoods. When they arrived, they found Patsy dressed in the same clothes she had worn to the Christmas party the night before. She led them to the kitchen table, where a handwritten ransom note lay spread open across 3 pages. It was one of the strangest ransom notes investigators had ever seen. 3 full pages, written on stationery from inside the house. It demanded exactly $118,000 for JonBenét's safe return, the same amount as John Ramsey's annual Christmas bonus. The note claimed to be from a small foreign faction signed with the initials SBTC. But the wording was odd, the phrasing unnatural. It sounded theatrical, like something copied from a movie. "Don't try to grow a brain, John," it read. "Follow our instructions and your daughter will be returned safely." The police began to suspect that whoever wrote it wasn't a professional kidnapper, perhaps not even someone from outside the family. The Ramseys' home was large and winding, more than 7,000 square feet, with multiple staircases, hidden hallways, and a dark basement that few guests ever entered. Officers fanned out, searching for signs of forced entry, but they found none. No broken locks, no shattered glass, nothing to indicate an intruder had come in through the night. As hours passed, detectives struggled to make sense of the situation. The family said they had gone to bed around 10 p.m. after returning from a Christmas dinner with friends. Everything had seemed normal. Burke was asleep in his room. JonBenét had been tucked into bed after opening one last gift, but by morning, Patsy claimed she found the ransom note, and JonBenét was gone. The Ramseys' friends soon began arriving at the house. The pastor came to comfort them. Neighbors dropped by with coffee. Within a few hours, the home, the supposed crime scene, was filled with people moving through rooms, touching objects, and even cleaning dishes. Crucial evidence was being contaminated in real time. It was one of the biggest investigative mistakes in modern U.S. history, and it would haunt this case forever. Nearly 7 hours after the 911 call, Detective Linda Arndt, the only detective still at the scene, asked John Ramsey and a family friend to search the house from top to bottom, just in case. John headed downstairs to the basement, flashlight in hand. Moments later, he screamed. There, in a small storage room, he found JonBenét's lifeless body. She was wrapped in a white blanket. Her hands were bound with a nylon cord. A strip of duct tape covered her mouth, and around her neck, a garrote made from a length of cord tied to a broken paintbrush handle. John lifted her body and carried her upstairs, sobbing. He placed her on the living room floor. Patsy collapsed beside her. The officer froze, horrified, as she realized the crime scene had just been completely destroyed. Every forensic rule had been broken. The father had moved the body. The mother had touched her daughter's face. The family's friends surrounded them, weeping. Fingerprints, fibers, DNA, all of it was compromised. By the time crime scene specialists arrived, it was too late. The truth had been trampled. The autopsy revealed a chilling combination of injuries. JonBenét had suffered a skull fracture, consistent with a heavy blow to the head. But she had also been strangled, the garrote embedded deep into her neck. There were signs of possible sexual assault, though forensic results were inconclusive. The cause of death was listed as asphyxiation associated with craniocerebral trauma. Simply put, strangulation and head injury. The garrote itself was handmade, crafted using materials found inside the house. The broken paintbrush used in the weapon matched one from Patsy Ramsey's art supplies. To investigators, that detail spoke volumes. If the killer brought nothing with them, no weapon, no tools, then perhaps the killer was already inside the house. Within days, suspicion turned toward the Ramseys themselves. Police couldn't understand how a kidnapper could enter and exit unnoticed. How did they write a 3-page ransom note using paper and pens from inside the home, without waking anyone up? Why was there no sign of struggle, no forced entry, no footprints in the snow outside? Everything pointed inward. The media pounced. Headlines labeled the Ramseys as too perfect, too calm, too rehearsed. Patsy's tearful press conference, where she begged for her daughter's killer to come forward, was analyzed frame by frame. Viewers claimed her emotions looked fake. Others insisted she was in shock. And then came the handwriting comparisons. Experts examined the ransom note against samples from both parents. Several analysts claimed similarities between the note and Patsy's handwriting, loops, spacing, certain letter shapes. But no one could confirm a match beyond reasonable doubt. Still, the public was convinced. The beautiful mother who had once groomed her daughter for pageants was now portrayed as the woman who might have killed her. Within weeks, JonBenét's face was everywhere. Television, tabloids, magazines. The murder of a child was already horrific, but the details made it even more sensational. A rich family, a beauty queen daughter, a bizarre ransom note, and a crime scene inside a mansion. It was, as one reporter later said, the perfect media storm. And the frenzy drowned out the facts. Talk shows debated whether child beauty pageants sexualized little girls. Psychologists speculated on stage mom behavior. Even comedians made cruel jokes about the case. The line between journalism and entertainment blurred completely. Inside the Ramsey home, the family was collapsing under pressure. Patsy fell into deep depression. John withdrew from public life. Burke, the 9-year-old brother, was quietly shielded from the spotlight, but rumors began to swirl about him too. Could the little boy have done it accidentally? Could the parents have covered it up? No one had answers, but everyone had theories. Boulder police kept their suspicions close, but leaks fueled speculation. When the grand jury convened in 1999, many expected charges. Yet no indictment came. The evidence was too weak, the contamination too severe. Still, whispers persisted that the grand jury had wanted to indict the parents, and that the district attorney had refused. Years later, documents would reveal that the jury indeed voted to charge both John and Patsy with child abuse resulting in death, but the DA declined, citing insufficient proof. The damage, however, was done. In the public eye, the Ramseys were guilty. Lost amid the chaos was the image of JonBenét herself. Behind the pageant dresses and television headlines was a 6-year-old girl, playful, imaginative, and adored by her family. She loved her dog, her pink bicycle, and writing letters to Santa. In fact, days before her death, she had written, "Dear Santa, I love you. I'm waiting for you. I'll see you soon." That note, innocent and pure, was found near her bed after her death. For many Americans, JonBenét became a symbol of innocence lost, of a justice system that failed, and of a media machine that devours tragedy. Her smiling face on stage contrasted painfully with the darkness of how her story ended, and the questions lingered. If not the parents, then who? If not an intruder, then how? Every path seemed to circle back to that same house on 15th Street, a place where Christmas lights still glowed on the outside, but inside the air was thick with silence and suspicion.